Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, lolly, lolly.
The climate in gaming right now is a precarious one. Gamers, much like many other segments of society, have become far more segregated, which brings about brutal instances of discrimination and a climate where many gamers feel left out of not just the player experience, but also in the lack of representation in regards to the characters and the stories they tell. The lack of meaningful female protagonists in video games has led to every game featuring one to be placed under quite the microscope. No recent game featuring a female lead has been under as much scrutiny as Lollipop Chainsaw. The game proves to be a lot of things to different people. To some, it's just a game that happens to star a female character. To others, it's full of objectionable content that proves to be a bit much, while to others, it's something entirely different. I fall in the latter, with the game proving to use its seemingly crude content to speak to much larger issues within game. Now, Lollipop Chainsaw and its story revolves around a character named Juliet Starling, who is about to start her 18th birthday by going to visit her boyfriend at San Romero High School. The name of the high school, if fans of zombie movies will recognize as a bit of a homage to George Romero. So she gets to the school, and a zombie outbreak has began, and you get zombies stumbling all over the place. They're attacking students, attacking police officers, and they've eventually locked onto and started to approach her boyfriend, Nick. Juliet, unbeknownst to Nick, is a member of a family of zombie hunters, and she promptly whips out a chainsaw and begins to deal bloody death to every piece of undead scum that attacks him. Unfortunately, she doesn't get everybody fast enough, and one of them bites Nick, resulting in Juliet being forced to make a life or death decision regarding Nick. Now, if this seems kind of cheesy to you, it's because this was written by the same guy who wrote Scooby-Doo and the Scooby-Doo sequel, and Dawn of the Dead, and Slither, and some other movies. Some good, some bad. His name is James Gunn. James Gunn, I'm sorry. James Gunn has teamed up. He teamed up with Grasshopper Manufacturer to write this story, and I think in the process of writing this story, he did a really good job of encompassing the spirit of the gameplay, as well as throwing in a little bit of social commentary there. One of the strongest pieces of commentary, besides things that happen in the very first level of the game, will revolve around Juliet and her family's interaction with Nick. Nick, unfortunately, is just ahead at this point in the game, after that prologue level. He's pretty much at the mercy of Juliet, who takes full advantage of that by using him as a weapon. She'll put his head on the headless bodies of zombies and do a lackluster cheer to talk him into doing things for her. Every effort to convince her that this isn't a way for him to live is met with a laugh and a giggle, and is brushed off. Juliet's family sees him as a joke. She sees him as an object. Does that ring familiar to anyone? In addition to that, there are some instances where some of the zombies in the game, they can talk, and they say some pretty messed up stuff to Juliet, culminating at the end of the first level with a fight against the final boss of that stage. And he will hurl insults at you. They will take physical form, and they will be used as projectiles, and they will fly at you. Well, that actually was brilliant in the way that it speaks to people. It tells people that words hurt, and it speaks to gamers who have been victims of this one, and it should speak to gamers who have done this. This game does a really good job of turning the looking glass back on the game. Now, gameplay wise, it's it's stuff that's been done before. Lollipop Chainsaw does not reinvent the wheel. It does what it does. It does what it does. Okay, it's serviceable. The camera is problematic, much like all 3D action games. But beyond that, it's a fun game. The only issue that I really had with this game was probably during the zombie baseball segment. The auto aim on the blaster may be some of the stiffest auto aim that I've seen in a minute, but it ends up working. You just have to learn how to deal with it. All in all, Lollipop Chainsaw, I will say it does a really good job of doing two things. It's a good game, and it will speak to its audience in different ways. Like I said at the beginning of this review, it'll speak to the gamer who takes the time to look beyond the surface and understand where things are supposed to go. If a gamer opens up their eyes and sees what's going on, they may be driven to tears because they'll understand that they've been doing the things that are done to the characters in this game. But it's a matter of whether or not a gamer will do this.